Some people have asked, how do I know that I'm in alignment? Well, you know, when you're in alignment, when you feel peace and you just feel good and your emotions are uplifting and you're kind of in the zone, whether it's just enjoying your day or if you're at work, you're in the zone. Everything just seems to be flowing. That's when you know you're in alignment. And, whatever we pay attention to is what our reality is. If we're focusing on negative, fearful things, and our reality seems negative and fearful, if we're in the flow, enjoying our day, being grateful just to exist, to be alive, then we have that energy of joy and just faith and confidence flowing through us. Whatever you're consciously choosing to be aware of is what you'll notice. And it's also where all of your energy is going. And wherever your energy is going, you're going to create more of whatever that is in your life. So if you're focusing on something you don't want, you're going to create more of the things you don't want in your life. If you're focusing on the things you want and being happy about your future and being happy about where you are right now, you're going to get more of that coming back to you. So that's why it's so important to notice where your awareness is, where your focus is. Because wherever you're focusing, that will become your experience of life. And that is our life. Whatever we think we're experiencing, whatever we're feeling, that's our life. Some people could be happy with hardly seemingly anything, and other people can be miserable with $1 billion in the bank. And we got to realize that we create our environment in our minds and in our emotions, not with the external. And the more our minds and emotions are aligned with those things that we want externally, the more we're going to draw them to us. And we'll actually have them externally in the 3D, in our world, in our lives. And I'm sure you know this, but our thoughts and emotions are intertwined. If you're thinking great thoughts, your emotions are going to be great. They're going to be peaceful, joyful, thankful. And if you're fearful and worried and that you're having negative thoughts that are taking you down that path too, there's no separating thoughts and emotions. The only thing we can do with thoughts is decide which ones we pay attention to. And that is where it changes everything. In the Bible, it says, as a man or as a human thinks in their heart, so are they, or so is he. That verse should actually say, as a man focuses on what he thinks in his heart, so is he. Because it's what we give our attention to. We're going to have thoughts pop up. Sometimes we're angry and our minds and our hearts might not be aligned and we're thinking negative stuff. But we don't have to hold on to that and focus and build something out of that. We can release that stuff and let it go. So really, as a man focuses in his heart, or what he gives awareness to, what they give awareness to in their heart, so are they. That is the things that we create, the things that we give our attention to, and that's where our energy goes, and that creates our reality in our experience. Our consciousness is the space within that everything exists. Everything that we realize or that we notice existing is in the space of our consciousness. So why would we want to pay attention to things that mentally and emotionally torture us? I did that for most of my life. I was brought up that way. We were taught to worry and to be afraid and to be concerned about everything. And the focus on, well, you better watch this because this could happen. And you watch out for that because that might go wrong. Instead of focusing on the things that are going right and building on those things. Man, we were just taught to be afraid and try to fix the fear. You can't even argue with fear. It just builds. As you focus on it, it just builds and builds up more and more into anxiety and depression. There's no reason to do that to yourself. We don't have to torture ourselves. So if you're doing that, as somebody who used to do that, Realize that is not the way to live, and you don't have to live that way. So what do you have to lose? Why not envision the things that you want? Envision God working things out for you. Envision, if you don't believe in God, envision the universe working things out for you. Envision you working things out for you. Because if you change your mindset, you can work things out for you. And things will fall into place because you're expecting them to. And we get what we're looking at, and we get what we expect. We get where our energy is going. And if our energy is going negative, we're going to draw that. If it's going positive, we're going to draw more of that into our lives. So save yourself, change yourself. You don't have to keep going down that path. I went down that path for so many years. It is not worth it. I am now 63 years old, and I just came upon these teachings and these beliefs, these strategies when I was 61. You don't want to do that. As somebody who did it, you don't want to do that, and you don't have to do that. So that's why I'm here telling you this. I don't want people to live the way I did. It was horrible. It was just unnecessarily, ridiculously horrible. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do it. We always have the choice to consciously choose where our attention goes. Keep yourself happy. Keep yourself peaceful. Keep yourself believing the best. I wrote a book called Believe the Best About Yourself in Your Life, a guide to overcoming childhood trauma. Actually, it's a guide to living beyond childhood trauma. But I wrote that book a couple years ago, and it helped me just to get that out on the, pen to paper, to get that out of my soul. And it helped me release a lot of that negative energy, a lot of those negative feelings and thoughts and programs that I had in my mind. That's another thing. Journal. To me, that was like journaling. Journal. Write that stuff down. You know what? When you look at it on paper, it doesn't seem quite as overwhelming as it does in your head. When it's bouncing around in your head, and you got other things in there too, like the things you have to do that day or the bill you have to pay. It just gets confusing and overwhelming, and you don't have to do that. Write that stuff down, get it out of your system, look at it. You know what I do when I journal, which I used to do it a lot more than I do now. I still do on occasion. I write it all down, read it, tear it up in the tiny little shreds of paper, and throw it away. Because I feel like I got that out of my soul. I got that out of my conscious, my subconscious. And I put it on paper and it's gone. Tear it up, throw it away. It's in the past now. Move forward. I found that cathartic, and it really helped me step out of those old wounds of the past. So get out of autopilot. Release that stuff. When we're running on autopilot, as humans in general, we were programmed, and I said this, I think, in my last couple videos, but we're programmed as a species to survive, which is a good thing, and sometimes we need to have that survival instinct, but most days, the way that the world is now, unless you're living in a war-torn country, and God bless those people, sincerely, we don't have to live like that. We don't have to be on guard constantly. Drop your guard. Believe the best. Move in faith. Take the steps that bring you joy in life. Let go of all that garbage that was programmed into your mind from years ago. Things that aren't even relevant anymore. Another reason to let survival mode go is because it causes disease and suffering. It's the reason for most physical and mental illnesses. It is just worrying and fearfulness. And then what do we do to cover that stuff up? We overeat, overdrink alcohol, smoke cigarettes. Some people have crazy illicit sex, like kind of like risky sex and stuff. And all those things cause disease. And just our heart rates being up and our minds always being worried, it creates unhealthy genes and cells within our body that mutate into cancer and other types of disease. So it's so important to get out of survival mode. I can't emphasize that enough. Those antiquated old programs and generational fears that were passed down through thousands of years have no need to be present in our everyday life, in our minds constantly throughout the day. We can release that stuff and just move on. For your own good, realize that. Meditate. Do deep breathing. You know, when we meditate and we get quiet and we sense the space around us, just like the sea is the place where fish swim, like water is the place where fish live. We live in a sea of energy. It surrounds us just like water surrounds all the sea creatures. And when we get quiet, we get calm. You could sense that energy. You could feel it all over. I could shut my eyes and I could sense how far this wall is away from me on this side and how far away this wall is away from me on this side. I can feel energy running into my fingers. Do this for a minute. Shut your eyes, put your hands as far apart as you want. Just don't, make sure they don't touch. Move your hands like this. Move one, keep one still, move one of your hands. Close your eyes. You can feel the energy from this hand touching this hand, or vice versa. You can feel like the energy kind of like moving on your hand, in your hand. I mean, we're surrounded by energy. Everything is energy. Everything is vibration, frequency, energy. So put your faith in God, Christ, the universe, source, the divine, divinity. Call them whoever you want to call them. But put your faith in them and believe they're looking out for you. They want to bless us. They want us to have a good life. They live through us. They are the consciousness behind us, viewing all this stuff and experiencing our lives with us. Why wouldn't they want to experience? Why wouldn't the creator of all of us want to experience a beautiful life through each and every one of us while we're on this earth? Why would they want to sit there and feel and view all that suffering and sadness? I don't think the creator wants that. Look at this beautiful world they've given us. Look at this place. And every place has its own beauty. Every place. The mountains, the snow, fields, all of it. God loves us. Source wants to enjoy sharing our lives in us and with us and view the world through us. So you might say, how can I do that? I have a job that I don't like. I'm in a relationship that I'm not happy with. I don't have abundance. Well, first of all, abundance is more than money. Abundance is health. Abundance is having food to eat. Abundance is having a place to live. Abundance is a lot more than money, for one. Excuse me. But also, that's why I always push meditation. Do it if you want. You don't have to. Envisioning things, visualization helps. Deep breathing helps. Exercise is great too. But you can experience those uplifting emotions of abundance and success and peace. We can experience those things in our minds when we envision them. And then our bodies feel the emotion of it. So even though it might not be sitting there in our 3D reality at the moment, we can experience and feel like we have everything we want already. And when you feel like you have everything you need, you feel whole. And when you feel whole and like you aren't needy, like you aren't desperately needy, your body relaxes and gets out of that fear mode. And then your cells start producing healthy cells. Your genes start producing healthy genes. And your mind doesn't know the difference between your imagination or the 3D reality around us. When we tell our minds, when we envision those beautiful things happening, Our mind's like, oh, that's great. Our body's like, oh man, this is a fantastic life. You can call it tricking it or whatever, but yeah, trick your mind, trick your body into believing those things now, because when you believe those things and live that way and think that way and act that way, we actually draw those things to us. We draw the things that we desire to us, and we become, more importantly, we become the people who would naturally have those things in our lives anyhow. All right, I hope you got something out of that. Thanks so much for watching. Peace and love.